Hello, and welcome to English in Fluency. I'm your host, Alex, and I am so genuinely happy that you've chosen to spend some of your valuable time with me today. It doesn't matter if you're out for a walk, driving in your car, relaxing at home, or maybe just taking a quiet moment for yourself during a busy day. Your presence here is what makes this community special. Thank you for tuning in. Here at English in Fluency, our goal is always twofold: to provide you with a calm and engaging space to improve your English listening skills, and to explore powerful ideas that can help you grow into a more confident and aware version of yourself. Today we're going to dive into a topic that is truly at the heart of everything we experience in life. It's the profound idea of how your beliefs create your reality. That's right. The thoughts you hold to be true. The quiet assumptions you make about yourself, about the world, and about your place in it. These are not just passive ideas. They are the active architects of your life, shaping your experiences in ways that are often so subtle, so deeply ingrained, that you might not even notice their influence. I want you to consider a question for a moment. Have you ever looked at two people facing the exact same challenge, maybe a difficult exam or a job interview, and wondered why one person sees it as an exciting opportunity while the other sees it as a terrifying threat? Or why some people seem to possess an inner resilience, an ability to get back up after they fall, while others feel defeated by the very first setback? The answer, more often than not, lies hidden within their belief systems. Your beliefs are like a unique pair of glasses that you wear every single moment of every day. They filter everything you see, hear, and experience. They add color and texture to your world. If your glasses are tinted with the color of optimism and possibility, you will naturally spot opportunities and reasons to be hopeful. If they are clouded by doubt and fear, you will just as easily find evidence that the world is a difficult and unforgiving place. These beliefs are not magic. They don't change the external facts of the world, but they do something far more powerful. They change you. They influence how you interpret those facts, how you feel about them, and most importantly, what you choose to do about them. If you believe, deep down, that you are capable of learning English, you will approach your studies with persistence and curiosity. But if a hidden belief whispers to you that you're just not a language person, you might find yourself giving up before you ever give yourself a real chance to succeed. In our journey together today, we will explore this fascinating landscape of the mind. First, we'll break down what beliefs truly are, not in a complex academic way, but in a simple, relatable manner that you can apply to your own life. Then, we'll investigate where these powerful beliefs come from, exploring the influences of our family, our culture, and our personal histories. We'll look at real-life examples and stories that bring these ideas to life. We will also make a crucial distinction between beliefs that serve us and beliefs that hold us back, introducing the concept of limiting beliefs, those invisible barriers that can prevent us from achieving our dreams. And please, don't worry. I will not just identify the problem and leave you there. The most important part of our conversation will be dedicated to sharing simple, practical, and effective strategies that you can begin using today to consciously choose, shape, and strengthen the beliefs that will help you build the reality you truly desire. So, I invite you to relax, to listen with an open mind, and to gently reflect on your own inner world as we move through this episode. My purpose here is not only to help you practice your English comprehension, but also to offer you tools and insights that can bring about meaningful, positive change in your life. This is a journey of discovery, and I'm honored to take it with you. Let's begin. So, to start our exploration, let's begin with the most fundamental question of all. What exactly are beliefs? It's a word we use all the time, casually saying, "I believe so," or "That's my belief." But have we ever truly paused to consider what a belief is made of? What gives it so much power over our lives? We all live by our beliefs every single day. They are the invisible captains of our ship, steering our decisions, coloring our emotions, and defining our actions. To truly understand their power, we need to look at them closely and see them for what they are. In the simplest terms, a belief is a feeling of certainty about what something means. It's an idea that you have accepted as true for you, something you hold with conviction, often without needing absolute, concrete proof. A belief is not just a fleeting thought that pops into your head and then disappears like a cloud in the sky. It's more like a foundation stone that has been laid in your mind. It's a thought that you have thought over and over again, consciously or unconsciously, until it has solidified and become a core part of your personal truth. The story you tell yourself about how the world works. And this is the most critical point to understand. A belief does not have to be a fact to feel true and to have a powerful effect on your life. Just because you believe something with all your heart does not make it a universal truth. But for you, in your personal reality, it functions as the truth. It guides you, protects you, and defines your limits. To make this clearer, let's take a moment to carefully distinguish beliefs from two other things we often confuse them with: thoughts and facts. This distinction is vital because mixing them up is what often keeps us stuck. A thought is a single, momentary mental event. Thoughts are like the constant stream of traffic in your mind. They come and go continuously. Right now, you might be thinking, "This is an interesting idea." Or perhaps, "I wonder what I'll have for lunch later." These thoughts are temporary and can change in an instant. A belief, however, is much more stable and deeply rooted. A belief is a thought that you have given a special status. You've nurtured it, agreed with it, and connected it to other thoughts until it has become a trusted shortcut for understanding the world. It's a thought that has been given a permanent home in your mind. Now, how are beliefs different from facts? A fact is a piece of information that can be objectively proven and is true for everyone, regardless of their opinions or feelings. It's a fact that the Earth revolves around the Sun. It's a fact that 2 plus 2 equals 4. These are universal realities that exist outside of our personal interpretations. Beliefs, on the other hand, are entirely personal. They are your interpretation of reality. For example, one person might hold the belief that people are generally good and can be trusted. Another person, perhaps based on different life experiences, might believe that you have to be careful because people will always try to take advantage of you. Notice that the world and the people in it are the same, but the belief, the internal filter, creates two completely different experiences of that world. One person lives in a world of potential connection, while the other lives in a world of potential threat. Let's consider some simple, everyday beliefs that most of us carry without ever questioning them. You might believe, I am a creative person. Or, conversely, I don't have a creative bone in my body. You might believe, money is hard to earn. Or you might believe, there are abundant opportunities to create wealth. Some people believe they are naturally lucky, constantly noticing good things happening to them, while others believe they are unlucky, always on the lookout for what might go wrong next. Take a second to really think about these statements. None of them are objective facts. You can't scientifically prove that someone is unlucky. You can't prove that money is universally hard to earn. But if you hold one of these beliefs, it will absolutely dictate how you behave, how you feel, and even what you perceive in the world around you. If you believe you're unlucky, you will likely interpret a flat tire as further proof of your bad luck, whereas a lucky person might see it as a fortunate event because it happened close to a repair shop. The event is the same. The belief changes everything. I'd like to share a personal example from my own life that illustrates this perfectly. For many years, well into my early adulthood, I held a very strong belief that I was terrible at anything technical. I told myself, I'm just not a tech person. Computers and gadgets are too complicated for me. This belief likely started in my teenage years when my family got its first home computer, and I felt overwhelmed trying to understand it. I remember one specific time I accidentally deleted an important file, and the frustration and embarrassment of that moment cemented the idea in my mind. From that day forward, that belief became my reality. I would avoid tasks that involved new software. I would feel a wave of anxiety if I had to set up a new phone or device. Because I believed I was bad at it, I never spent the time to patiently learn. My lack of practice, of course, meant I remained unskilled, which in turn provided constant proof that my original belief was correct. It wasn't that I was incapable of learning. It was that my belief created a barrier that prevented me from even trying in a meaningful way. Perhaps you can see a parallel in your own life. Do you have a belief like that about your ability to learn English? Or about your skills in another area, like cooking, sports, or public speaking? What is so fascinating, and also a little bit unsettling, is that most of these core beliefs were not consciously chosen by us. We absorbed them from our environment when we were young and impressionable. We soaked them up from our families, our culture, our schools, and our early life experiences. If your parents frequently said things like, "Be careful, don't take risks," you might have grown up with a core belief that the world is a dangerous place, and it's best to stay in your comfort zone. If a teacher once praised you by saying, "You are so brilliant at math," you may have carried the belief of being intelligent and capable in that area for the rest of your life. But here is the key question. Do we ever stop, as adults, to examine these inherited beliefs? Do we ever ask ourselves, is this belief actually true for me now? Does this belief help me, or does it limit me? The honest answer is that most of us don't. We continue to operate on this old programming, allowing these unexamined beliefs to shape our lives. So, as you continue to listen, I want to extend a gentle invitation to you. Start to become a curious observer of your own mind. What are some of the fundamental things you believe to be true about yourself, about your potential, about life in general? And try to trace them back. Where might they have come from? Have you ever paused to truly question if they are facts, or if they are simply old ideas you accepted long ago? Remember, beliefs are powerful because they feel like unshakable truths, but they are not always facts. And this leads us to the most hopeful and empowering realization of all. Because beliefs are not facts, they can be changed. We will talk much more about how to do that later in our conversation. For now, the first and most important step is simply to begin noticing them. Start to see them not as rigid realities, but as the stories you've been telling yourself. Some of these stories are beautiful and empowering epics. Others might be sad tales that are holding you back. The journey to a new reality begins with seeing those stories clearly. Let's now venture deeper into a concept that is both incredibly simple and profoundly powerful: the invisible force of our beliefs. You see, the most impactful beliefs rarely announce themselves. They don't send you a notification or shout for your attention. In fact, their strength comes from their silence. They operate quietly, like a sophisticated software program running in the background of your consciousness, influencing every single one of your thoughts, feelings, choices, and actions, often without you having the slightest awareness of their presence. It is this hidden, automatic nature that makes them the most potent force in your life. They can be the wind in your sails, pushing you forward towards your dreams, or they can be the heavy anchor that keeps you stuck in the same harbor, year after year. And they accomplish this in a way that feels so completely normal and natural that you may never think to question it. To truly grasp this, let's bring back our example of two people learning a language, because it's an experience many of you can relate to. Let's give them names. We'll call them Liam and Chloe. Both Liam and Chloe are starting their journey to learn English. They have the same access to books, apps, and classes. The external circumstances are identical. However, their internal belief systems are worlds apart. Liam carries a deep-seated belief that he is just bad at languages. This idea might have been planted years ago by a poor grade in a high school language class, or perhaps by a casual comment from a relative. He tells himself, "Some people are good at this sort of thing, but I'm not one of them." Now, let's watch how this single belief silently orchestrates his entire learning experience. When he joins a conversation class, he feels a knot of anxiety in his stomach. His mind is filled with thoughts like, "Don't say anything stupid. Everyone else is better than me." He avoids speaking up, and when he does, his nervousness makes his voice tremble. If he makes a grammatical mistake, his inner critic immediately says, "See? I told you. You're hopeless at this." For Liam, every small error isn't just a mistake. It's a personal failing, a confirmation of his core belief. Over time, he starts skipping classes, he practices less, and his progress stalls. His belief has created his reality. He hasn't improved, not because he lacked the innate ability, but because his belief prevented him from taking the consistent, confident actions necessary for improvement. Now, let's turn our attention to Chloe. Chloe holds a different belief. She tells herself, "Learning a new language is a challenge, but it's a skill I can develop with time and consistent effort." Notice the difference. Her belief is not about a fixed identity, "I am good" or "I am bad," but about a process of growth. How does this belief shape her actions? When she goes to the same conversation class, she feels excited. She sees it as a playground for practice. When she makes a mistake, she doesn't feel shame. Instead, she might even laugh and think, "Okay, that's a new thing I just learned not to do." She sees mistakes not as proof of failure, but as valuable feedback, as signposts on her path to fluency. Because she believes she can improve, she actively seeks out opportunities to speak. She asks questions, and she doesn't let the inevitable awkward moments stop her. Her persistence pays off. She gets better week by week. Her belief has created a completely different reality, one of progress, confidence, and enjoyment. This isn't some form of magic. It is the quiet, relentless power of a belief working in the background, shaping her emotions, dictating her behavior, and ultimately producing her results. This powerful phenomenon has a name. It's called a self-fulfilling prophecy. You may have heard this term before, and it's a cornerstone of modern psychology. A self-fulfilling prophecy occurs when your initial belief or expectation about a situation causes you to act in ways that make that expectation come true. It's a feedback loop where your mind creates the very conditions it predicts. For instance, if you go into a social gathering believing, "I'm awkward and nobody will want to talk to me," you might stand in a corner, avoid eye contact, and keep your body language closed off. As a result, people will likely not approach you. You then walk away from the party thinking, "See, I was right. Nobody wanted to talk to me." But was it that you were inherently unlikable? Or was it that your belief caused you to behave in a way that made it very difficult for others to connect with you? Your prophecy fulfilled itself. This cycle happens in every area of our lives, in our careers, in our relationships, in our finances, and in our personal growth. Our beliefs act as the silent director of our life's movie, and we, as the actors, follow the script without even realizing we are the ones who wrote it. There's a well-known concept in psychology, popularized by Dr. Carol Dweck, called the growth mindset. This is precisely what Chloe had. The growth mindset is the belief that your basic abilities, like intelligence or talent, can be developed through dedication and hard work. People with a growth mindset believe that while they may not be good at something now, they can become better through effort and learning. In contrast, people with a fixed mindset, like Liam, believe that their abilities are innate and unchangeable. You're either born good at something, or you're not. Decades of research have shown that individuals with a growth mindset consistently outperform those with a fixed mindset in academics, in business, and in their personal lives. Why? It's simple. Because they believe improvement is possible. They put in more effort. They persist through setbacks, and they embrace challenges as opportunities to learn, rather than as tests of their fixed worth. Once again, it is the invisible power of belief in action. Let me share a simple story from my own life that shifted my perspective on this. For a long time, I believed I was not a morning person. I would tell everyone, and myself, I'm just useless before my second cup of coffee. My brain doesn't switch on until at least 10 a.m. And this belief became my lived reality. I would hit the snooze button multiple times. I would feel groggy and unproductive every morning. And I would structure my day to avoid any important tasks before mid-morning. It was my identity. But one day, I read about the benefits of a consistent morning routine, and I became curious. I thought, what if not being a morning person is just a story I've been telling myself? I decided to run a small experiment. I started with a tiny change, waking up just 15 minutes earlier. I didn't try to be productive. I just sat with a cup of tea and listened to some calm music. It was difficult at first, but after a week, it got easier. Then I started adding small, enjoyable things. A bit of reading, a short walk. Over time, I began to realize that I actually loved the quiet peace of the early morning. My belief that I'm not a morning person had been the only thing stopping me. Once I challenged that belief with new actions and new experiences, I discovered a whole new, productive, and peaceful part of my day. And this can happen for anyone, in any area of life. So I want to invite you to become a detective of your own mind. What are some of the quiet, background beliefs that might be shaping your reality right now? Beliefs about your ability to master English? Beliefs about your talents? Beliefs about what you deserve in relationships or what is possible for you in your career? Sometimes these beliefs are so deeply embedded, so familiar, that they feel like parts of our personality. But they are not. They are learned. And because they are learned, they can be unlearned. The good news is that you don't have to fight them. You can begin to change them simply by shining the light of your awareness on them. When you catch yourself thinking, "I could never do that," or "I'm just not good enough," gently pause. Ask yourself, is this 100% true? Or is this just a belief I've been carrying around for a long time? The more you practice noticing your beliefs, the less power they have over you. You begin to see that you are not your beliefs. You are the one who is aware of them. And in that space of awareness, you gain the power to choose new beliefs. Beliefs that support you, that empower you, and that help you create the beautiful reality you truly want to live. Now that we've seen how powerful our beliefs are and how they silently shape our lives, a very important question naturally arises. Where do they come from in the first place? Understanding the origins of our beliefs is like being a detective investigating a case. If we can trace a belief back to its source, it loses much of its mysterious power over us. We can see it for what it is. Not an absolute truth, but an idea we picked up somewhere along our life's journey. And when we see it clearly, we can then make a conscious choice about whether we want to keep it, modify it, or let it go entirely. The vast majority of our deepest, most fundamental beliefs were formed when we were very young, long before we had the ability to think critically or decide if they were true or helpful. We were like sponges, absorbing the world around us. Let's start with the most powerful influence of all, our family. From the moment we are born, we are immersed in our family's belief system. We learn about the world not through textbooks, but by listening to the words our parents say, by watching how they act, and by feeling the emotional atmosphere of our home. Perhaps your parents constantly said, "You have to work twice as hard as everyone else to get ahead." You might internalize this as a belief that life is a constant struggle and you can never relax. Or maybe they often said, "Family is the most important thing, and you must always stick together." This could lead to a powerful belief in loyalty and community. The phrases we hear repeated, the family rules that are often unspoken, and the way our parents react to success, failure, and money. All of these things plant seeds in our young minds. These seeds grow into the core beliefs that often guide our adult lives, without us even being aware of their origins. they become the normal way we see the world. Our culture and society are another massive source of our beliefs. Every culture has a shared set of assumptions about what is right, what is wrong, what is valuable, and what is possible. These cultural beliefs are like the water a fish swims in. They are so pervasive that the fish doesn't even know it's there. For example, some cultures place a very high value on individual achievement and competition. Children in these cultures might grow up believing that their personal success is the ultimate measure of their worth. Other cultures might prioritize the group, the community, and harmony. Children there might learn to believe that fitting in and contributing to the collective good is more important than standing out. There are cultural beliefs about time. Is it something to be managed and saved, or is it fluid and flexible? There are beliefs about expressing emotion. Is it healthy to show your feelings openly, or is it better to remain stoic and controlled? We absorb these cultural norms, and they profoundly shape our personality, our goals, and our definition of a good life. We often accept them as universal truths, without realizing that people in another part of the world might live by a completely different, yet equally valid, set of beliefs. School is another formative environment where beliefs are forged. Teachers hold a position of great authority in a child's life, and their words can have a lasting impact. Imagine a teacher tells a young student, "You're a natural artist," after seeing one of her drawings. That student might carry that belief with her, nurturing her creative talents for years to come. But what if another teacher, frustrated with a student's difficulty in math, says, "Well, maybe numbers just aren't your thing"? That single, careless comment can plant a limiting belief that follows that person into adulthood, causing them to avoid careers and situations that involve numbers, all because of an idea they accepted when they were 8 years old. The social dynamics with our friends and classmates also shape us. The desire to fit in can lead us to adopt the beliefs of our peer group about what is cool, what is important, and how we should behave. And of course, our own direct personal experiences play a huge role in creating our beliefs. Our brains are wired to learn from what happens to us. This is a survival mechanism. If you touch a hot stove and get burned, you form a very strong and useful belief. Hot stoves are dangerous and should not be touched. The brain creates a story to make sense of the event and to protect you in the future. However, this mechanism can also create limiting beliefs from painful emotional experiences. Let's imagine a man named David, who starts his first small business with great enthusiasm. He works incredibly hard, but due to a combination of bad timing and inexperience, the business fails. The emotional pain of that failure is immense. To make sense of it, and to protect himself from that pain in the future, his mind might create a belief like, "I am not cut out to be an entrepreneur. I always fail when I take big risks." This belief is not a fact. It's an interpretation of a single, painful event. Yet, this belief can become so strong that it prevents David from ever trying again, even if he has learned valuable lessons and has a much better idea the next time. One experience, generalized into a lifelong rule, becomes a belief that limits his potential. So, I want to invite you to do a little bit of personal archaeology. Think of a strong belief you hold about yourself. It could be positive, like, "I am a very loyal friend." Or it could be limiting, like, "I'm not good at managing money." Now, Try to trace it back. Where did this belief come from? Can you remember a time when you didn't believe this? Did a parent or a teacher say something that stuck with you? Was it born from a particularly powerful experience, either a success or a failure? Was it a message you received over and over again from your friends or from the media? The process of questioning the origin of a belief is incredibly liberating. It's not about blaming your parents, your teachers, or your culture. It's about understanding. It's about realizing that many of your beliefs were not consciously chosen by you. They were inherited, absorbed, or created as a reaction to past events. And this realization brings with it a wonderful sense of freedom. If you didn't choose to adopt that belief in the first place, you certainly have the power to choose to let it go now. You can decide which beliefs from your past still serve the person you are today and the person you want to become tomorrow. As you go about your day today, try to listen to the beliefs that pop up in your mind. When you think, "I can't do that," or "That's just the way I am," gently ask yourself, "Says who? Where did I first learn this story?" This simple act of questioning is the first step toward rewriting your own narrative and reclaiming the power to define who you are. Now that we have a solid understanding of what beliefs are and where they come from, let's zoom in on the two fundamental types of beliefs that have the most direct and dramatic impact on the quality of our lives. These are limiting beliefs and empowering beliefs. You can think of them as two different radio stations that are constantly broadcasting inside your mind. One station plays a soundtrack of doubt, fear, and restriction. Its message is, "Be careful. You can't. It's not possible." This is the station of limiting beliefs. The other station plays a soundtrack of possibility, courage, and growth. Its message is, "You can learn. It's worth a try. What if it works out?" This is the station of empowering beliefs. The life you ultimately create for yourself will be largely determined by which of these two stations you choose to tune into most of the time. So, let's first define what a limiting belief truly is. A limiting belief is any assumption or conviction you hold about yourself, about other people, or about the world that restricts you in some way. It's a belief that builds an invisible fence around you, preventing you from exploring new territories, taking healthy risks, and reaching for your full potential. These beliefs often disguise themselves as wisdom or realism. They whisper to you in a very convincing voice, and their language is usually absolute. They sound like, "I will never be fluent in English. I'm just too old to start a new career. I'm not the kind of person who can be confident in social situations. People like me can't get wealthy." The great danger of limiting beliefs is that they feel completely true. When you hold these beliefs, you subconsciously act in ways that align with them. You avoid the very actions that could prove them wrong. You don't apply for the better job. You don't start the conversation. You give up on your language practice after the first difficult week. And as we've discussed, this inaction or half-hearted action then creates results that seem to validate the original belief, locking you in a self-perpetuating cycle of limitation. On the other side of the spectrum, we have empowering beliefs. These are the beliefs that act as fuel for your spirit. They give you energy, resilience, and a sense of personal agency. Empowering beliefs help you to view challenges not as insurmountable walls, but as opportunities to grow stronger and more capable. They are the foundation of a positive and proactive life. The language of empowering beliefs is one of possibility and process. They sound like, I can improve my English with consistent practice. Mistakes are a necessary part of the learning process. Every challenge I face is an opportunity to learn something new about myself. I am capable of figuring things out. When you operate from a place of empowering beliefs, your entire approach to life changes. You are more likely to persist when you encounter obstacles. You're more likely to seek out solutions instead of dwelling on problems. And because you approach life with a sense of optimism and determination, you naturally begin to create more positive outcomes for yourself. Let me share a story about a friend of mine named Sarah that perfectly illustrates this contrast. For years, Sarah worked in a stable but unfulfilling office job. She held a deep limiting belief that she wasn't creative enough to do anything else. She would say things like, I'm a very logical, left-brained person. I can't draw. I can't write. I just don't have that creative spark. This belief kept her stuck. She never explored any hobbies, never took any classes, and resigned herself to a career that didn't inspire her. One day, her office organized a team-building event, which was a pottery class. Sarah was filled with dread. I'm going to be terrible at this, she told me. I'll just make an embarrassing mess. Her limiting belief was on full blast. But, since it was a required event, she had to go. To her utter surprise, as she started working with the clay, something shifted. The instructor was kind and encouraging, and Sarah found the process of shaping the clay to be incredibly calming and enjoyable. Her first pot was wobbly and far from perfect, but she had made something with her own two hands. That single, small experience was a crack in the wall of her limiting belief. It provided a tiny piece of evidence that contradicted her long-held story. She started to think, well, maybe I'm not a complete failure at this. She decided to sign up for a beginner's pottery course. As she practiced each week, she started to change her self-talk. She replaced the old belief, I'm not creative, with a new, empowering one. Creativity is a skill that can be developed, and I'm enjoying the process of learning. Notice the shift from a fixed identity to a growth-oriented process. This new belief changed everything. She became more experimental, less afraid of making mistakes, and her skills improved dramatically. Today, several years later, Sarah sells her pottery at local markets. It's not her full-time job, but it's a source of immense joy, pride, and even a small side income. The world didn't change. Sarah changed her belief, and in doing so, she unlocked a part of herself that she never knew existed. This is why becoming aware of your beliefs is one of the most important things you can do for your personal growth. Many of us are walking through life with heavy chains of limiting beliefs that we don't even realize we are carrying. They feel so normal, so much a part of us, that we never think to question them. But if we can learn to pause and listen to the stories we tell ourselves, we can begin the process of liberation. So, I invite you to do this right now. Take a quiet moment and think about one area of your life where you feel stuck or dissatisfied. It could be your English learning, your career, your health, or your relationships. Now, listen closely to the thoughts that come up. What is the underlying belief? Do you tell yourself, I'll never be able to speak without an accent? Do you believe, I don't have the discipline to exercise regularly. Whatever it is, I want you to just notice it without any judgment. Don't feel bad about having the belief. We all have them. The first step is simply to see it, to acknowledge its presence. Once you can see it clearly, you can begin to gently question it. You can ask, is this belief 100% true, without a doubt? Has there ever been a time when it wasn't true? What would my life look like if I didn't believe this? And then you can start the exciting work of consciously choosing a new belief, an empowering belief. It doesn't have to be a giant leap. It can be a small, gentle shift. A belief that helps you move forward, one small step at a time, instead of one that keeps you standing still. This is where your true power lies. We've now arrived at the most crucial part of our conversation. Having understood that our beliefs shape our reality, and that many of them can be limiting, the most pressing question becomes, can we actually change them? Is it truly possible to rewire these deeply ingrained patterns of thinking? The answer, supported by decades of research in neuroscience and psychology, is a resounding and hopeful yes. Your beliefs are not carved into stone. They are not a permanent part of your DNA that you are stuck with for life. In fact, one of the most exciting discoveries about the human brain in the last century is the concept of neuroplasticity. Don't worry about the technical term. The idea behind it is simple and incredibly empowering. Neuroplasticity means that your brain is not a fixed, static organ. It has the remarkable ability to change, adapt, and reorganize itself throughout your entire life, in response to your experiences, your actions, and yes, your thoughts. Think of your brain as a dense forest. When you think a certain thought or hold a certain belief over and over again, it's like walking down the same path in that forest every single day. Over time, that path becomes wide, clear, and easy to walk on. It becomes your brain's default route. A limiting belief like, "I'm not good at speaking English," is one of those well-worn paths. Your brain automatically goes down that path whenever you're faced with a speaking opportunity. But neuroplasticity tells us that you can create new paths. When you begin to consciously choose a new thought, a new belief, like, "I am a capable learner, and my speaking is improving with practice," it's like starting to walk a new, different path in the forest. At first, this new path is narrow and covered in weeds. It takes conscious effort and attention to walk down it. It feels unnatural compared to the old, easy path. But the more you intentionally walk this new path, by repeating the new belief and acting in alignment with it, the clearer and stronger it becomes. Meanwhile, the old path, through lack of use, slowly begins to grow over. This is not just a metaphor. Your brain is physically creating and strengthening new neural connections. You are actively rewiring your mind. So, even if you have held a limiting belief for 10, 20, or even 50 years, it does not mean you are sentenced to keep it forever. With conscious awareness, consistent effort, and a dose of self-compassion, you can forge new neural pathways and install new beliefs that serve you better. Of course, this process doesn't happen magically overnight. It requires patience and practice. The very first step, and perhaps the most difficult one, is to begin questioning your existing beliefs. Most of us go through life assuming that our beliefs are facts. We never stop to challenge them. But the moment you start asking questions, you begin to loosen their grip on you. For example, if your default belief is, I'm always awkward in social situations. Start to investigate it like a curious scientist. Ask yourself, is it really true that I am always awkward? Can I think of even one time when I felt comfortable talking to someone? What specific experiences led me to form this belief? Am I just comparing myself to an unrealistic standard? When you start to pick it apart, you'll often find that your belief is not a solid wall of fact, but a shaky structure built on old evidence, generalizations, and fear. Just by questioning it, you introduce doubt into the system, and that creates an opening for a new belief to take root. Another simple yet profound tool for this rewiring process is the use of affirmations. An affirmation is simply a positive statement, phrased in the present tense, that you repeat to yourself regularly. Now, some people are skeptical about affirmations, and it's true that just repeating a sentence you don't believe at all might not do much. However, when used correctly, they are a powerful way to start carving out that new path in your brain. The key is to make them believable for you. If you currently believe you're terrible at English, jumping to the affirmation, "I am a perfectly fluent English speaker," might feel like a lie. Your brain will reject it, but you could start with something more gentle and believable, such as, "I am willing to learn and improve my English every day." Or, "I am becoming more confident with each conversation I have." Repeating these statements to yourself, especially in the morning or before you go to sleep, helps to program your subconscious mind with a new, more supportive message. Remember neuroplasticity. Repetition is key. You are intentionally feeding your brain a new thought, strengthening that new neural pathway. It is also critically important to surround yourself with positive influences that support the new beliefs you want to adopt. Our beliefs are not formed in a vacuum. The people we spend time with, the books we read, the podcasts we listen to, the content we consume on social media, all of these things are constantly sending messages to our brain. If your social circle is full of people who are negative and complain constantly, it's very difficult to maintain a belief in possibility and growth. Their energy and their words will reinforce limiting beliefs. On the other hand, if you make a conscious effort to connect with people who are optimistic, who believe in personal development, and who encourage you, their positive influence will make it so much easier for you to build and maintain your own empowering beliefs. This doesn't mean you have to cut off all your old friends. It simply means you can be more intentional about bringing supportive and inspiring voices into your life. Let me share a famous real-world example of someone who radically changed their belief system and, as a result, their reality. For a long time in the world of track and field, it was a universally accepted belief that it was physically impossible for a human to run a mile in under 4 minutes. It wasn't just a casual opinion, it was a medical and scientific fact of the time. Doctors and experts believed the human body simply could not withstand the strain. This belief acted as a powerful psychological barrier for runners for decades. Then, on May 6, 1954, a young medical student from England named Roger Bannister did the impossible. He ran a mile in 3 minutes and 59.4 seconds. He broke through the belief barrier. But here is the most fascinating part of the story. Once Bannister proved that it was possible, the psychological barrier for everyone else shattered. In the year following his historic run, Dozens of other runners also broke the 4-minute mile. What had changed? The human body hadn't suddenly evolved. The training methods hadn't drastically changed overnight. What changed was the belief. Once people believed it could be done, they were able to do it. You don't have to be an elite athlete to apply this principle. We all have our own 4-minute miles. Those personal goals that seem impossible based on our current limiting beliefs. Think about an area in your life where you feel stuck. Perhaps it's learning English, starting a business, or finding a loving relationship. What new belief could you choose to adopt right now? It could be something as simple as, progress, not perfection, is my goal. Or, I am capable of learning anything I set my mind to. The goal is not to instantly solve all your problems. The goal is to start walking down a new path in your mind, to make small, steady choices that build new beliefs, which in turn will inspire new habits and ultimately create new and better results. So, as you go through the rest of your day, I want you to be mindful of that little voice inside your head. When it tells you, I can't, I want you to pause, take a breath, and gently ask it, is that really true? Or is that just an old story that I am ready to change? Because you absolutely have the power to shape your beliefs. And when you learn to consciously shape your beliefs, you truly begin to shape your destiny. So, we have journeyed through the what and the why of beliefs. We understand that they shape our world, and that we have the power to change them. Now, let's get to the most important part, the how. Let's talk about some simple, practical, and concrete actions you can start taking today to begin the process of consciously shaping new beliefs. I know that the idea of changing a deeply held belief can seem daunting, like trying to move a mountain. But the truth is, it's a journey of 1,000 small steps, not one giant leap. Small, simple actions, when repeated consistently every day, have a cumulative effect that is far more powerful than you can imagine. The key is not intensity, but consistency. It's about being patient and kind with yourself as you learn to become the architect of your own mind. One of the most foundational practices you can adopt is to become a mindful observer of your self-talk. Your self-talk is the endless stream of internal chatter that runs through your mind all day long. For many of us, this inner voice can be quite critical and negative without us even being aware of it. You might make a small mistake at work, and your mind immediately jumps to, I'm so stupid, I always mess things up. Or you might be about to try something new, and your self-talk whispers, you're going to fail. Don't even bother. These automatic thoughts are the audible symptoms of your underlying limiting beliefs. The first step to changing them is simply to start listening. Pay attention to this inner dialogue without judgment. Don't try to fight the thoughts, or feel bad for having them. Just notice them, as if you were an impartial scientist observing a phenomenon. When you catch a negative or limiting thought, you can simply label it in your mind. Ah, there's that I'm not good enough story again. This simple act of noticing creates a space between you and the thought. In that space, you realize you are not the thought. You are the one who is aware of the thought. And that awareness is where your power to choose differently begins. A wonderfully effective practice to build on this awareness is journaling. You don't need to be a great writer or spend an hour on it every day. Just 5 or 10 minutes with a pen and a piece of paper can work wonders. You can use your journal as a safe space to explore your beliefs. For example, you might choose one area of your life, like your English learning journey, and ask yourself some probing questions. What do I currently believe about my ability to become fluent? What evidence do I have for this belief? Where did this belief come from? Writing your thoughts down forces you to clarify them. It takes the jumbled mess of thoughts out of your head and puts them on paper where you can look at them more objectively. Once you've identified a limiting belief, you can then use your journal to actively challenge it and craft a new one. You could write at the top of a page, "My new empowering belief is, every time I speak English, I get a little bit better." Then, you could spend a few minutes each day writing down any small pieces of evidence from your day that support this new belief. This practice helps you to actively look for proof of your new belief, training your brain to focus on progress and possibility. Another incredibly potent tool for installing new beliefs is visualization. This is the practice of using your imagination to create a vivid mental picture of the reality you want to create. It's something that top athletes, musicians, and performers have used for decades to enhance their skills and build unwavering self-belief. The process is simple. Find a quiet place where you won't be disturbed for a few minutes. Close your eyes, take a few deep breaths, and begin to imagine yourself having already achieved your goal. If your goal is to be a confident English speaker, don't just see it, feel it. Imagine yourself in a conversation, speaking smoothly and clearly. How does it feel in your body to be so confident? What is your posture like? What is the expression on your face? Hear the sounds of the conversation. See the positive reactions of the people you're talking to. The more sensory details you can bring into your visualization, the more real it will feel to your brain. Your brain actually has a hard time distinguishing between a vividly imagined experience and a real one. When you consistently practice visualizing your desired outcome, you are pre-paving the neural pathways for that reality. You are teaching your brain what it feels like to be that person, making it easier for you to step into that role in real life. To support these practices, you can also incorporate simple daily affirmations. As we discussed, an affirmation is a short, positive statement that declares your new belief as if it were already true. The key is to make it personal and resonant for you. You could write 1 or 2 affirmations on sticky notes and put them where you will see them every day. On your bathroom mirror, on your computer monitor, or by your bed. Every time you see it, say it to yourself, either out loud or in your mind. Try to connect with the feeling behind the words. If your affirmation is, "I am a confident and capable person," take a moment to actually feel a sense of confidence and capability in your body. This combination of repetition and emotion is what helps to embed the new belief deep into your subconscious mind. It might feel a bit silly or awkward at first, and that's perfectly normal. But stick with it. You are planting seeds in the garden of your mind, and with consistent watering, they will grow. Finally, a crucial part of this process is to celebrate your small wins. So often, we are focused only on the big, final destination, like achieving perfect fluency, and we fail to acknowledge the progress we make along the way. This can be very discouraging. To build and strengthen a new belief, you need to constantly feed it with evidence that it's true. So, make it a habit to recognize and celebrate your small victories. Did you understand a difficult part of this podcast? Celebrate it. Did you have a short conversation in English, even if it wasn't perfect? Celebrate it. Did you simply notice a limiting belief and choose not to act on it? That is a huge win, and you should celebrate it. When you celebrate your progress, you release positive chemicals in your brain that create a feeling of accomplishment and motivation. You are training yourself to focus on what's going right, which builds momentum and reinforces your new, empowering beliefs about what you are capable of achieving. So, as we bring our conversation to a close, I want to leave you with a simple but powerful challenge. What is one new, empowering belief that you would like to start practicing today? It doesn't have to be monumental. It could be as simple as, I am capable of learning and growing. Or, I choose to focus on progress, not perfection. Once you have chosen your belief, think of one tiny action you can take today to support it. Maybe you'll write it down in a journal. Maybe you'll spend 2 minutes visualizing it. Maybe you'll share your small English win with a friend. Whatever you choose, remember that you are not just trying to change a thought. You are starting the process of creating a whole new reality for yourself, one small, consistent, and courageous step at a time. So, here we are at the end of our time together for today. Let's take just a quiet moment to reflect on the journey we've taken through the landscape of our minds. We started by exploring the true nature of beliefs, seeing them not as unchangeable facts, but as the personal stories and feelings of certainty that we carry, the very lenses through which we view our world. We then delved into the incredible, invisible power of these beliefs, seeing how they silently guide our actions and feelings, often creating a self-fulfilling prophecy where our reality begins to match our expectations. We saw how this can work both for us and against us, creating either a cycle of limitation or a spiral of growth. We traced our beliefs back to their origins, understanding how they were shaped by our family, our culture, and our past experiences, which helps us to see them more objectively and choose which ones to keep. A crucial part of our discussion was highlighting the difference between limiting beliefs, which act as cages for our potential, and empowering beliefs, which give us the wings to fly. We realized that one of the most important skills we can develop is the ability to recognize which type of belief we are feeding in any given moment. Most hopefully, we confirmed that beliefs are not fixed. Through the amazing power of neuroplasticity, our brains can and do change, meaning we have the inherent ability to install new, more supportive beliefs at any stage of our lives. Finally, we moved from theory to practice, sharing some simple, actionable steps you can start using right away. You can begin this powerful work by mindfully noticing your self-talk, using a journal to explore your thoughts, visualizing the future you desire, repeating positive affirmations, and most importantly, celebrating every small step of progress you make along the way. Remember, it is the consistency of these small actions that creates magnificent change over time. So now, I gently invite you to carry these ideas with you. Think about the beliefs you hold about yourself, your skills, and your life. Are they truly serving the person you want to become? What is just one small, kind adjustment you could make in your thinking today? Perhaps it's simply catching a negative thought and choosing not to believe it. Or maybe it's taking a moment to acknowledge something you did well. This journey of shaping your beliefs is a personal one. It doesn't need to be perfect. It just needs to be intentional and filled with self-compassion. If you found value in our conversation today, and it sparked some new insights for you, I would be so grateful if you would subscribe to English in Fluency. That way, you won't miss any of our future episodes where we'll continue to explore ideas that help you not only improve your English, but also enrich your life. And to make sure you're the first to know when a new episode is released, please be sure to turn on your notifications. Sharing this podcast with a friend or family member who you think might benefit from it is also one of the best ways to support our community. And I always love hearing from you. Feel free to leave a comment or send a message sharing your own experiences. What belief are you working on changing? What was your biggest takeaway from our discussion today? Thank you, from the bottom of my heart, for sharing your time and your attention with me. It truly means the world. Always remember, your beliefs are the paintbrush, and your life is the canvas. You have the power to create a masterpiece. Keep learning, keep growing, and keep being kind to yourself. I'll talk to you in the next episode.